Hi everyone, today we're going to explore the new redefined pillars in the Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults system. Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults, or PPV, is a life operating system to shape and design the life you want for yourself. It helps you identify what matters most to you in life, translates that into specific aspirations with deep meaning to you, and breaks those down into actionable steps. Then it provides clarity and a precise action process to consistently move toward accomplishing those life aspirations, making real progress every week. In the months ahead, I'm going to share more about the new PPV system that has evolved a great deal since the version 1 of the system that started on this channel years ago. By creating an immersive community learning environment for our membership and training program, we have been able to evolve and improve the system at a rapid rate. We had 5 annual version upgrades to the original PPV system, and then completely rebuilt PPV from the ground up, taking full advantage of the significant enhancements to Notion's capability over the years. This required a foundational redesign. This new rebuild is called PPV Pro, and it is unlike any other life system I have ever seen, using Notion or otherwise. Over the next number of months, I'll be sharing some of the new frameworks, concepts, and structures we are using in the new PPV design. Now, let's dive into the new Pillars component of the system. First, let's get an overview of where pillars fit into the PPV system, and we'll talk about how the new pillars that are being redefined now are different from the old pillars we had in the old system. This is an overview of the PPV system. But first, let's jump back to the old PPV system. This is the old diagram we used in the original version, and you'll see pillars were one of the key components, and then we had the pipelines and vaults and cycle reviews. Pillars in the original system were an organizational structure. They organized your life into segments. So there was a segment for each slice of your life, maybe 4, 5, 7, or 8 of them, however many. It varied from person to person. And you would just have a slice that everything in your life would fit into one of these buckets or another. It was a way to categorize every aspect of your life. And then across the pipelines, and then across the knowledge components, all of these fit into one component or another of your life, and it gave you a view of each slice of your life. The problem with this is, it became a lot of busy work, and almost nobody used many of the pillars. The pillars provided a dashboard into each of those slices of your life, but most of those slices don't require management. They don't require a dashboard perspective to manage because they're just not that important. It tends to be a few slices that really need the management and the oversight. So we now have ways to slice and create dashboards for particular segments, but we are no longer segmenting by pillars because it was just a lot of extra work that wasn't necessary, and you just don't need to manage every slice of your life. Some of them are just admin, some of them are just maintenance. So now pillars are actually getting a promotion. They're becoming a more important aspect of the system. Because when they were just an organizational structure, a segmentation across your life, they were just buckets to tag and organize in. They weren't adding as much value as something in the name Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults would indicate and would require to justify that placement in the naming of the system. That has now changed. Pillars are now far more important than they ever were, but they're not categorizations or segments. Now pillars are what you stand for and what you value in life. Now, some of you who have been with the system for a while may remember guiding principles were part of what you value and what you find meaningful in life. Those were a consolidation of a larger process of reflection that we went through to understand who we are and what we're about in this world. Guiding principles are still a key component of this top-level deep reflection and self-awareness layer. But we're taking it one step further. From the guiding principles, we are actually boiling it down to an even more succinct layer called pillars. Pillars are now the most concise and precise definition of what you value in life and what you find meaningful in life. They are the core of what you are all about. We're going to walk through how we translate some of those elements and boil it down to the pillars level in a moment. But pillars are now our core principles that we live by. What we want to represent in the world, what makes life meaningful, and what defines who we are and who we want to be. So you can see this is a far more valuable and important role than merely categorizations or segments across different aspects of your life. It's no longer just organization. It's now a North Star of who we are and who we want to be. And while we're here, this is the new diagram of the new Pillars, Pipelines, and Vaults. There are some differences. Some of you who have been with us for a while will notice. But for those of you who are new, pillars are what we just discussed, these core definitions of our values and meaning. And pipelines are the action processes, the action management, how we define what we want to achieve in life, and how we go through stages of process to accomplish them. So our pillars will translate directly into our life aspirations, which will be specific destinations we want to get to, but they are translated from these more abstract and conceptual pillars into a more specific destination. Then those broad, distant destinations are broken down into more specific, more tangible, near-term goals. We achieve our goals through a combination of projects and routines. Both projects and routines advance our goals. We have structured this better in the new system to actually have them both funnel into goals far more effectively. And then actions are the day-by-day manifestations of our projects and routines, advancing our projects and routines, ensuring that we're consistently progressing on those projects and routines, therefore progressing on our goals and our life aspirations, living in accordance with our pillars. Then vaults are where we aggregate knowledge and resources in order to implement these goals and projects and routines and life processes. We also have cycle reviews, which are periodic review and planning sessions to keep everything on track, organized, and close all the open loops so that everything is being addressed and nothing slips through the cracks. So that's the overview. We'll explore this in more detail in future videos. But now we're going to go deeper into how we make these pillars and how we manifest them into our lives so that they can guide us and shape us to become the people we want to be. So pillars are central and the most concise definition of our purpose and our meaning in life. These are the top level of our alignment process, which all comes together in the alignment zone in the PPV system. But why do we have to put so much effort into defining our purpose and meaning? Stanley Kubrick summed this up beautifully. He said, "The most terrifying fact about the universe is not that it's hostile, but that it's indifferent. If we can come to terms with that indifference, then our existence as a species can have genuine meaning. However vast the darkness, we must supply our own light. We have to create our own meaning. We have to supply the light. That light is the meaning. It is our purpose. We are not granted purpose and meaning by default. We have to create that. But we can create that, and it can be as powerful as anything. In fact, it's more powerful when we find it and we generate it, when we create that meaning. It is ours. It's something we produced and put out into the world. So this is actually not a statement of despair, although it might seem that way on first glance. It's actually an incredibly positive, beautiful statement of hope and possibility. This inspires me. It is up to us, and we have the power and ability to create meaning in our lives, to bring purpose and meaning into the world through our existence and our interaction with other people. This is incredibly liberating and powerful when you see the world through this framework. So we must create our own meaning. And here's the crux of it. Meaning comes from responsibility. No responsibility, no meaning, no purpose. You want meaning and purpose? Accept responsibility for things that make a difference. Use what you know about your values to choose your responsibilities. Put yourself in a position where other people depend on you. Then don't let them down. Over-deliver. This does not mean ignoring yourself or your own needs. You need to build yourself as well so you have the strength and the resources to deliver on your purpose. You have to build yourself up so that you have more to give. So you're always working on yourself. You're always building your strength, your perseverance, your intellect, your knowledge, your awareness. You're building yourself up so that you have more to give. But you need to take on responsibilities, which always come in the form of obligations or efforts to contribute to other people in the world. This is at the heart of creating meaning in your life. So how do you find what you value? If you don't know what you value, study how you spend your time. What do you gravitate toward naturally? Then assess how you feel about those activities afterwards. Was it rewarding? Do you feel grateful? Do you feel indifferent? Do you feel regret? How could you have spent that time better? Look over journal entries, calendar entries. Think back over the past 6 months, the past year, the past 2 or 3 years, the past 5 years. What has meant the most to you? What are you most grateful for? What do you feel was the most valuable use of your time? And what was a waste? What would you have done differently? By mining your historical activities, you're going to learn a great deal about what you actually value. And that is going to guide you towards finding what is meaningful to you as you map out your life going forward. This afterglow of past activities reveals a great deal about what you value. Then, based on your reflection and historical deep dive, create a succinct set of bullet points for the guiding principles summary. Then use these points to shape your more precise pillars. So first, we're going to break these reflections down into guiding principles, which will still be concise, but broader and more elaborate than what we're going to end up ultimately with the pillars. But first, we're going to guiding principles. And we have had videos previously on this channel on guiding principles. I'll link to those below because those will be really helpful in shaping and defining your guiding principles. For the guiding principles, these are the key questions, and you'll want to create bullet points under each of them. So first, what do you value most in life? Based on what you have seen and reflected upon, how you felt about these past activities, what do you find that you actually value? What do you value doing? What are the outcomes that are most meaningful to you? What are the steps and processes and activities that are rewarding to you? What do you value? Make a bullet list, elaborate. This is more reflection, but whereas previously you were doing divergent thinking and looking broadly, trying to find hints of anything you care about and find meaning and value in, now we're trying to do convergent thinking and bring it down into more concise, specific points, narrow it down to the most important elements. At this stage, we're keeping this process simple. In our training program, we have a much more elaborate process that takes days, even a week or two to go through. But for the sake of this YouTube training, I want to keep this more accessible and not too much of an overwhelming burden. So just keep it simple, top of mind stuff. Then next, after that, where do you find meaning? So what do you value? And then where do you find meaning? So there's a nuance here. And think about what that nuance is. It might mean slightly different things to different people. Whatever it means to you is what you should act upon and work with. I could define this, but I don't actually want to define this any more precisely because I want you to decide what is value and what is meaning and break these out separately. But typically the meaning, where you're finding meaning, is coming after what you've defined as the things you value in life. What you value will typically be principles that resonate deeply with you, the things that resonate most deeply, that seem the most important qualities of a person, of a life. And then where you find meaning is what is rewarding, what is satisfying, what feels like it was worth doing. That's meaning. Then we translate this into what is your purpose based on what is meaningful to you and what you value. Now we're going to set a purpose. What are you setting out to do in life? How do you want to make a difference in the world? That's your purpose. And again, that comes from responsibility. That comes from having an impact on other people. You can't do everything. Pick some narrow, specific things where you can have real impact, and that will be your purpose. And then write out how you will manifest that in life. What are you specifically going to do? This starts to get into what will then translate into your life aspirations, into your goals. These are going to be the things you want to apply your purpose toward to actually achieve and make a difference in the world. It can be very micro for just a few people, family members, or it could be broad for a lot of people, or you could have concentric circles, high impact, deep impact for a few people that are particularly close, and then a broader impact for different concentric circles and different rings spreading out from that. So your guiding principles will have a number of bullet points and will be written out. It'll be far more succinct than your research phase above, but it's still going to have some elaboration. Now we're going to really boil this down into 2 to 6 words that succinctly sum up who you are and what you're about. And it's going to be valuable to have these pillars because they are easy to revisit frequently and effortlessly. In every weekly review, you will reflect on your pillars. Translate the ideas and insights in the guiding principles that we just talked about into your pillars. Carefully select 2 to 6 words to be your personal pillars, to define what you want to stand for and represent in the world at this point in time. They can always change later, but you're defining what you want to stand for right now. You will remember and reflect on these each week in your weekly review to stay close to them, and you will review and reflect on them for all major decisions in life. That's why it's so valuable to boil these down into just a handful of words that you can memorize and always be with and always look to for guidance on your biggest decisions and when you're setting your goals and aspirations. So here's some examples. This is something that I came through from my process. And I boiled my values and meaning at this stage of life down to curiosity, learning, contribution, generosity, and impact. Now you'll see I organized them this way after I came up with them. They were more jumbled, but they really came out in two groupings. Curiosity and learning really go hand in hand, and contribution, generosity, impact have a lot of overlap and similarities. That's okay. Other times you may have 5 or 4 or 3 that are wildly different. That's okay too. Just observe them and organize them in a way that might make logical sense, how they might build on each other or how they might overlap. If you don't have the overlap or the sequential element, don't worry about it, not important. But those are examples of what you might boil your pillars down to. But it could be anything. It could be any words that resonate and have meaning to you and reveal insights about who you are or who you want to be. It could be acceptance or assertiveness or authenticity. It could be caring. It could be compassion. It could be connection. It could be courage. It could be creativity. It could be encouragement or equality or excitement or fitness or flexibility or freedom or friendliness. I've jotted some ideas down here that are alphabetical, but these are just a few examples. Could be forgiveness, could be fun, could be honesty, it could be humor. And you see, these are not necessarily in the same category. It could be independence, could be intimacy, could be justice, it could be kindness, or love, mindfulness, could be order, or it could be patience. It doesn't necessarily have to be things that we associate with virtues. It could be pleasure, it could be power. Be honest with yourself. If these are the things you want to be, that you're striving for, that's okay. Pursuing pleasure can be okay. Pursuing power can be okay. These things could manifest themselves in ways that make a meaningful contribution to the world. They all play a role. We're defining what at this stage of life for each of us is the important defining characteristic that we're going to build our activities and our aspirations around. Other examples would be respect, responsibility, safety, self-awareness, spirituality. That will be an important one for a lot of people. It could be skills or skillfulness or supportiveness. It could be trust. These are just some examples. These are not the only ones. Use your imagination, expand your mind, see what resonates with you. And again, these will evolve over time. Just start with something and you'll continually craft and refine them over time. And you'll change over time and have different priorities and different key pillar values as you grow and learn and experience things in this world. Once you have your pillars, they will support every major decision you make. As you look at our system here, you'll see the pillars flow directly into our life aspirations. These are the big, broad, emotional aspirations we have long-term throughout our life. We've talked about these in previous versions. Life aspirations is the new take on what we used to call value goals, but life aspirations really defines it and makes it more accessible by the title itself. Rather than having to define value goals as our life aspirations, we just title them and call them now life aspirations. So these are the highest level visions for who we want to be and what we want to achieve in life. So if you look at past videos on this channel for value goals, you will see us talking about what are now referred to as life aspirations. And they are informed and built directly from the pillars. You can't really shape your life aspirations until you have your pillars and your guiding principles. They flow into it directly. Then from our life aspirations, we break everything down into the rest of our action pipelines and our knowledge systems and our cycle processes to tie it all together. But anytime you come to a tough decision, pull up your pillars. Hopefully you'll know them. That's why we're making them such a small, succinct set of words. But if you have to look them up, that's fine too. Look them up, think about them, reflect on them whenever you make an important decision in life, which includes setting your life aspirations, but also any challenges you need to overcome, tough choices you need to make. Use your pillars as a guiding light when making important choices and decisions in life. They will serve you incredibly well. That's why we put the work into creating them, so that they can serve us as we have to make tough choices throughout life. This video on pillars is part of an ongoing series about the new PPV. I'll add the next one to click on in the upper left or right corner of the screen here in a moment as they're released in the weeks to come. In these new videos to come, we're going to dive deeper into the new PPV, taking the concept of a life operating system further than ever before. These are going to be the new concepts over and above what we've already covered in the past on this channel. What we've covered in the past is still highly relevant, but we're going to build on top of that with new frameworks that have enhanced and turbocharged the new PPV. If this is of interest, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to get updates on future videos, and please hit like if you found this video valuable. Leave thoughts or questions below, or join us in the new Notion Life Design program when it relaunches soon to explore these topics more extensively. That's all at notionlifedesign.com. I also write the Life Design newsletter on increasing human capability. I give away several of my best Notion templates to anyone who subscribes to the free newsletter. The newsletter link is also below in the description. Thanks for watching. Lots more to come.